I think it was Robert J. Oppenheimer who said, I am death, the world destroyer. Welcome to the Sex Records Iceberg. I'm your host, Kregel. Tier 1. These first few facts are pretty well known by even the most casual listener of Sex Records. Even if you just heard of Sex Records, you've probably heard a thing or two from this tier. First off, we have Fim 1 and Fim 2. We'll combine these entries as they are very similar to each other, as in they're both very silly and clearly just the genius behind Fim messing around, trying to maybe drop a banger every now and then. The most known tracks are probably Fart in My Butt from the first release, and the majority of the tracks on Fim 2, excluding the bonus tracks. Jimmy Beast Track 10 is a song recorded by the band Walking Pace for the emotional release that is Tribute to Jimmy Beast. It's comprised of the person behind Screamer on guitar and the person behind Eat Fetus on bass, along with the person behind Fim screaming the famous I Miss You, Mr. Best at the beginning, along with the first verse of the Mr. Beast theme song towards the end. Mira Committee is one of the owners of Sex Records. They are more well known as Fimb, and might just be the voice behind Young Stupid Fish. The main artists of Sex Records are the ones you will see releases from. An example of a non-main artist would be Little Brian Plaque, not to be confused with Little Brain Plaque, who was a one-off artist for a single song, never to be seen again, yet. Arizona Iced Tea was the first ever sponsor Sex Records obtained, originating from a very early Fim concert. We will sign anyone is a saying commonly said by the owners of Sex Records, and they mean it. Just provide music in .wav or .flac format, cover art 1400 x 1400 size, a name for the release, and an artist name, and they will drop your music. All artists behind Sex Records are known to sign anything handed to them for free. The Eden Committee Super Show is a short series of videos dropped on the Eden Committee channel, presumably owned by Mira Committee. They cover a vast range of topics and typically are very hard to watch as the camera quality is awful. Agents of Chaos was a term that probably brought Sex Records into fruition, being told to two of the original artists of Sex Records by a teacher at the school they attended at the time. And that's it for Tier 1. Moving right along to Tier 2 of the iceberg, we have the facts that are known by those who are engaged in Sex Records and its music regularly. Starting off with the third and fourth entries into the Fim catalog, these releases are slightly less known than the first two and feature more experimental aspects than the first and second. Among the more well-known tracks off of these two albums are the first songs on each of the albums, Fimcore and Plans to the Schedule. Fimcore is an enigmatic release in that not many know of what it actually is, and what caused such a sudden shift into absurdism for Fim. Plans to the Schedule is another abstract release which features a droning beat combined with ominous audio recordings of four people speaking. The rest of the Jimmy Beast album is less known but still prominent within the Sex Records universe, featuring songs by Screamer, Young Stupid Fish, and the elusive Sequoia. Wise Old Fish is an elusive character that appeared briefly on a Sex Records promotion album that is now unfortunately lost to time. Screamer is a somewhat well-known Sex Records artist that is renowned for the release of Sordid, Well Wishes, The People of Oklahoma, and Louisville. They are categorized as bridging the gap between ambient music and noise music. Calypso is a messed up individual who is one of the owners of Sex Records and is listed as the contact on Sex Records' Bandcamp page. This next fact, Metro Market, it's honestly too messed up for me to talk about on this iceberg, and I don't want to anger myself, so therefore I'll leave it at the fact that the Metro Market has been accused of inflating the prices of their wares beyond belief. I don't want to talk about this anymore. A somewhat well-known fact about Sex Records is that it is sponsored by almost every known corporation on the planet. It's true. The Godspeed You Black Emperor collab is an unreleased collaboration between the musicians behind Godspeed You Black Emperor and some of the artists over at Sex Records. The Park Pavilion is a public stage that is utilized heavily relating to Sex Records activities. Alright, and moving on to Tier 3. This tier is where things begin to get mysterious. A lot of the information on here is not well known by even the most dedicated fans and was told to people from the owners directly. Eat Fetus has made a few releases before removing them from the Sex Records website within a day. No archives of these exist, making them lost media. Fim 5 was supposed to release in 2022 or early 2023, but never was dropped. No one knows if any other songs than the first, which will be brought up later, were even recorded. Sex Records is known to announce and even share the covers and sometimes track listings of upcoming releases, sometimes altering them for the public release. Fartchord was the original Discord server that was made for the Sex Records community, being created when the only artist was Fimb, giving it the name Fartchord. It is now very dead, only having a few members in it and never being talked in. The Cool album was the first ever project that was recorded for Sex Records, if we're talking the year it was made, going back to mid 2020 by an artist known as Little Brain Plaque, who still releases from time to time. The first Fimb concert is a widely debated topic, having a few concerts that could be called the first, but having aspects about them that would separate them from each other. The widely regarded first concert takes place on 9/11/21, the same day the cover photo for Fimb 2 was taken. The Sex Records headquarters is a location that's technically unknown, but it is said to be the basement of one of the members, probably Fimb's basement, knowing that the Live from My Basement album exists. Speaking of Live from My Basement, the cover of the album is widely regarded as a complete mystery, no one knowing what its cryptic words mean. It tells a story of a science experiment gone wrong that has nothing at all to do with the album itself, also including some low-resolution fumos for some reason. Speedrunner 4 Numbers is mentioned once during the track Wyoming Diss, apparently making the beat for it. After interviewing Fimb, it was mentioned that this person was an ex-partner of Fimb's creator, not lasting long for various reasons we will not be getting into. Amongla Records does not exist. Don't let it fool you. And now we're on Tier 4. This is where things start getting effed up. Most of these facts are very little known. Payama 6, 7, and 8 are currently unreleased Payama albums. These albums are said to degrade even more from Payama 5. During the year 2021, two of the people who appear on the cover of Fimb 1 wrote a song that was to go completely unreleased until the release of Fimb Live. The shower sessions are a release said to be only put on cassette and only have one copy. Nobody except for only the owners of Sex Records know why they are referred to as the shower sessions. Before Fimb became what it is today, it was largely a conceptual project that was to make story-based concept albums. The original Fimb 1 was supposed to be a concept album before it was scrapped and released as the Fimb 1 we know today. I don't want to talk about the Metro Market anymore. Refer to the Metro Market tapes if you want more information. The safety vest is a fashion statement coined by members of Sex Records, though it is not often seen in public due to the relative reclusiveness of the artists on Sex Records. Live from Slaughter Beach is a live album from Walking Pace. The live album was recorded in Slaughter Beach, Delaware. Before recording of the live album, Eat Fetus is said to have emailed the mayor of Slaughter Beach to get permission to perform. The mayor accepted. 433 is a release from Fimb that consists of 4 minutes and 33 seconds of complete silence. The song also features Kanye West, although his vocals cannot be heard. Split Like Pea is a well-known and renowned Sex Records release, but not many individuals are aware of why it is named as such. The answer to this is simple. Plants vs. Zombies. The Among Us Swaggermen is a currently dormant Sex Records project that features artists from previous Sex Records releases and also new musicians who are credited with the production of previous releases. The band has currently released nothing. Moving on from Tier 4, we have Tier 5, which is the tier that contains almost completely information brought up once or twice by its owners, having to be asked extensively for what the majority of them even mean. The original Fimb has been released officially on CD 3 times on 3 different occasions, once for a gift for a friend, once to be mailed overseas to another friend, and one to be kept in the Sex Records vault, located at the Sex Records headquarters. There exists a page on the website Discogs under the name Gay Sex Records, where the only release is Fimb 1. No one knows why this page exists, but it was probably testing how the website worked. Sex Records is known to have 2 owners, Mirror Committee and Calypso, but at the round table of ownership lies a third seat, filled by a looming shadow of unknown origin, known only as, well, we don't know. Jerk Off Session is a single dropped by Walking Pace that's comprised entirely of a droning electronic noise. It's been said that this noise comes from the band members quite literally jerking off the cords that are supposed to plug into their instruments. The Life, Death, and Legacy of Abraham Math is a lost and probably unrecorded concept album by Walking Pace, created during a boring math lesson on a piece of paper. No one knows what exactly this album is about other than the life, death, and legacy of a man named Abraham Math, but it's been said that this format was also going to be the basis of an original draft of Tribute to Jimmy Beast. Around the city of Milwaukee were found 20 pamphlets that were labeled as advertisement of the band Walking Pace, having only the name of the band and a QR code that goes to the Sex Records website. SS Special Bird was a good pal of Fim's creator, making the beat and featuring on the lyrics of Diss Track for a Fool off of Fim 1. He has never been heard from since. Tribute to Merzy Bao was a third tribute album planned to be released by the owners of Sex Records, but it was thought that after the first two dropped, no one wanted to work on another, scrapping it permanently. Fumo Band is the backing band being heard on the majority of the Fim live album, mainly on the piano and drums. The bass heard on all Walking Pace releases was recorded on a blue Ashbury bass guitar owned by Eat Fetus. It's special from other bass guitars, as it's what Eat Fetus calls a monostring, or a 2.5 string bass, taken from its A and D strings being wrapped around each other, making a single string. Tier 6 is reserved for only the most obscure facts about Sex Records. Let's get into it. It's gonna be dark. Payama is a relatively underground Sex Records band that was once composed of 3 members. After the release of Payama 3, one of the 3 members disappeared from the band. It is unknown why. As of right now, the only known member of Payama is Calypso. Good luck, fuckers, is a term that is only related to the background image of the Sex Records page, featuring an image of a completely blank United States with the caption, Good luck, fuckers. Nobody except perhaps the owners of Sex Records know what this means. Sound for Sound is an almost completely unknown YouTube channel which features 2 short releases from Eat Fetus and a recording of an Ultrakill P rank. The Cheese Song is a Fim-related song that is currently up on Spotify, released under a different artist name for a compilation album. The White CD has only ever been talked about once by the creator of Fim and never again. Nothing else is known about the CD. I've talked about the Sex Records headquarters once before, but some believe the true Sex Records headquarters is located in a rundown AT&T building somewhere in Wisconsin. WhatsApp Ricky and the Mechanism is a story that has been lost to time, thought to be related to the Sex Records project. The story only mentions WhatsApp Ricky as an artist enslaved to the Mechanism. Nothing else is known. Booger and Boomer's feud is another story that has been almost completely forgotten, thought to be a story of war and righteousness involving 2 competing sides. Jimmy Best's Song 10 is one of the most well-known Sex Records recordings, but something less known about the track is the afflictions it can cause. There have been reports of people disassociating to the track, but not much else is known about this. The song can also rupture your ears if you aren't careful. Jazzy D is an interesting one, but you'll find out soon enough. Alright, I didn't think I was going to be recording this, but after running the draft past Calypso, she approved of it, but gave me a few more lost entries to discuss, giving minor details and forcing me to come up with the rest. Starting off with, what happened during the Antarctic Hell War and Venezuelan return? To talk about the Antarctic Hell War upsets me greatly, but Calypso demanded it. The lost lives of the Antarctic Hell War were truly tragic, and the purpose of the Antarctic Hell War release was to honor and bring light to the horrors of the war. Venezuela, on the other hand, I know very little about. I can only assume it relates to a tragedy in Venezuela. The true meaning behind Sex Records. The true meaning behind Sex Records was put in very cryptic words by Calypso, and as far as I can tell, part of some evil plot. Sex Records is a project that was put together by people who wanted to make evil music. The end of Screamer, the beginning of Jew Creamer. This is a name that was only briefly mentioned to me, and in relation to Screamer, could this mean the end of the Screamer era and the beginning of a Jew Creamer era? Alright, now that that's over with, that was the Sex Records Iceberg. Some of this is well known, but most of it was locked deep within the confines of the Sex Records HQ. This has been Kregel, signing off.